Well, timing is everything, and doesn't this paint a clearer picture for us? Grab your emotional support lip gloss. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Hello and welcome back to this channel. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Mandy Magnan. I'm an actress, writer, producer, and director in Toronto, movie reviewer, pop culture, and your YouTube commentator for everything. It ends with never. Thank you so much, everyone, for supporting this channel. I know I say that a lot, but just thank you so much. In today's video, we're going to go through some new text messages between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Okay, and prepare yourself, all right? Okay, because the timing of it and what they're talking about, OMG. And then we're going to move into some depositions, and today we're going to be going WME and Sony. There's just a few small excerpts, but it's... oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. I don't know what Blake was thinking, okay? I don't know. No wonder why she fought so hard to keep everything sealed. And I did see a comment from someone on yesterday's video saying the sound is not synced proper. And I'm going to work on that because when we go through editing and it's fine, and when I export, it's fine. So there must be something in the upload or the export or something of the editing. So please bear with me while I work through all the technical glitches. I definitely don't want the audio and the video not synced. So I'm going to look further into that. Maybe I need to change my editing program, or I'm not really sure, but I am aware of it. So I do apologize. I know that could be very annoying and bothersome. Definitely not my intention. Obviously, I want to have everything perfect, or, you know, as just good. Okay, I know perfect doesn't exist, but obviously having the audio and video synced, you know, is a priority. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. It's on my radar. So thank you so much for letting me know. I don't see it on my end, but then when it uploads to YouTube, it is like that. It lags a little bit. So I gotta figure that out. Okay, so please, 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 please allow me some grace and some patience, and know that we are still, you know, our first year into the show and working out these technical glitches. And when I say we, I just mean me, really, you know. But anyway, let's get into these text messages straight away between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. They start on January 26th, 2023, so obviously a month after the circumcision conversation that Blake Lively is trying to say was also sexual harassment. It starts with Blake Lively. Wait, it was your birthday 2 days ago? Justin does like a, no, don't talk about it emoji. Also, thank you and Emily. Please send me her number. Those postnatal gifts, crying emojis. Then she disliked Justin going to his birthday. Justin, oh, they came. Yay. Then Justin sends Emily's phone number, which is redacted. Justin, we told our kids today, and they will have some friends in New York when we go, and they are super excited. They sure will. Full kibbutz. What's her last name? Emily? Baldoni. Her choice. Didn't want to assume. Smiley face. I'm Reynolds. My choice. He cried. Justin Baldoni puts a smiley emoji. Now that's a man, he says, because Ryan cried when she chose to pick his name. Blake responds to that with wimp. Justin continues. I keep hearing how excited people are for you to be Lily. I'm so happy. Colleen is on cloud 9. Ha ha ha. Did Matthias text you back yet, by the way? I haven't had a chance to write him today, literally doing it now. Just hired a DP, sends the DP's IMDb. And this is our wonderful AD. She's a gem, Julie Bloom. Blake emphasized that. She loved that he said that. Bloom, she says, he laughs at that. No worries, you're a little busy and not sleeping. Thank you. Then Justin sends something else through the iCloud. It's an attachment of some sort. Justin, have you seen this, by the way? Just found it, and the kids are using it. It's so sweet. And then he sends her something for the kids. No, the script I had is mostly up to date. Attaching in my email to Matthias. Yep, I'm doing notes over the next 2 weeks. Blake loved that. And would welcome any that you have. Blake, we'll reread. I loved so much. Our sweet little assistant who wants to be a producer read, and she actually had a great note she shared with me. Albeit worded a little clunky, and the formality reads more cold than she is. And it's actually something I felt when reading, but forgot to articulate. Copy pasting for sake of time. Alyssa and Lily meeting. I think when Alyssa and Lily meet, Alyssa should say her business partner dropped out or something rather than her saying that she had bought the place with no plan for it. Just feels unrealistic and also makes her feel like some rich girl that we are set up to not like, when we really do love Alyssa's character. We don't see any of them putting any work into the shop. We just see when it's done. I feel like maybe a quick montage of them putting work into it would be nice, especially because this dream of this flower shop has been a dream of Lily's for so long. There should also be a few small hiccups in the process. Justin, putting kids down, will respond shortly. Don't need to. Enjoy your babies. Email sent to Matthias. And happy belated birthday. Justin, you couldn't know it was my birthday. We don't Google our friends, remember? XOXOXO. Well played, XX, from Blake. From Justin Baldoni. Side note, was just thinking, if we ever end up doing a sequel together, you should direct it. This is how close they were. This is their friendship, or at least Justin thought. He's offering for her to direct the next film. Blake, stop. You're the best. I mean it. Blake, beyond appreciate your partnership so much. Also, your text to Emily is so damn sweet. I guess I need Ryan's number to balance it out. I'll only harass him about pretty much everything he does that I'm a fan of once a day. XOXO, good night. Then Blake shares Ryan's phone number. Try not to fall too in love. He's everything. Ha ha ha, I can't even. Too nervous. He has to make the first move. JK, so sweet. Can't wait to hang and congrats on the announcement. I think it went swimmingly. The fans are so excited and Colleen is thrilled. Try to get some sleep. XOXO. That's all in one day. He was offering her to direct the next film, but Blake couldn't wait, could she? She had to take this one over. It's actually, when I read these, so heartbreaking for Justin. So heartbreaking for anyone that when you think you have this relationship with this person, because that's how they show themselves to you. I mean, she made a point to show that side of her to Justin. And all along, it was just love bombing so she can pull the carpet from under his feet and he can fall straight on his ass. It's actually brutal. The next day, from Blake. Hey Blake, great to hear from you. Your novel to me made me blush of compliments. I really appreciate it. Your project sounds incredible and it's great you're working with Justin Baldoni. Coincidentally, I'm in Barcelona at the moment shooting a commercial till next week and I'm having constant AISIU flashbacks around town. Great memories. It's a little crazy because Mark is on a roll and we're about to shoot another film with Disney, but I'm pretty much on hold till I know more. This one would take us back to London for the majority of the year if it goes through. When this nutty commercial is over, I'd love to read your script. Perhaps I'll know more by then what my schedule will look like. Short night of sleep now and back to camera. Thank you for thinking of me. Let's talk soon. From Matthias. Also, just so we can all work together best on this long journey, I think now would be a good moment to acknowledge in a graceful way to Sony a respectful version of "we told you so." I have more context, which leads me to say this, but may not be necessary. Justin, maybe you can just post on IG in big bold letters to Sony. Told ya. Would love context, but yes, I think they get it. But then again, maybe not. Only time will tell. And very sweet response from Matthias. Blake, let me sniff on the Disney gig really and timing. Then Blake sends some audio message. That was supposed to be 20 seconds. On with our writer, talking through notes. We'll listen shortly. And then Blake to love that. Then they get sent another audio message and then Justin shares an attachment. That was at the end of January. Now we're going to move into April 11th from Justin and Blake. Justin starts, "No worries, I'll send you a voice note regarding the casting and a link." And then he does. Then he sends another one. Then Blake says, thank you for sending and for the context. When will you decide by? The next few days. We can chat about it tomorrow. Have a great night. Blake liked those messages. Perfect. I watched all. Can catch up tomorrow. X. Morning for your mom. Actor passed. I'd love to take a shot at redacted, but wanted your thoughts first. Dates didn't work for said actor. Blake, she's terrific. Would love to have her. With prayer hands. Thanks for asking. X. So that's all between April 11th and the morning of April 12th. Now we get into the night of April 12th, and it starts at 4:56 p.m. Justin Baldoni leaving Blake Lively's house. Thank you for letting me hold your baby. It made my day. Now, this is after the fat shaming. This is after the circumcision conversation. We're weeks away from camera. She's letting this man hold her baby? That sounds like someone who's being repeatedly sexually harassed and violated? Okay. Thank you for letting me hold your baby. It made my day. Can I connect you with Alex directly? Of course. Thank you for wanting to. You got to send me the photos. Oh, so not only did you let him hold your baby, you let him take photos with your baby. Okay. Great. And please feel free to connect us. Would love her number. Sorry we hung out so much and didn't get as much work done. Next time, we all get socially inspired and creative. It's a hurricane, but fun. Justin liked all of those messages. You guys are so fun. The smell, it's so sweet. I miss it. And then he sends some other file, okay? So these texts stopped at 5:18 p.m., okay? She's having a great time with him. April 12th at nighttime. They hung out for so long. Right? Everything was good. He held her baby. They took pictures. Less than 3 hours later, she's texting with Taylor Swift, calling Justin a clown. This clown falling for all of it. This is heartbreaking. This is truly, truly toxic. This is mean girl energy. This is energy that I do not want around me. These are people I would never hang out with. This is cruel. It's beyond cruel. It's high school bullying. The same day, letting this man hold your baby, taking pictures with your baby, playing kiki, ha. And then you're not only calling him a clown for falling for it, but then putting in this emoji of Aladdin. I can't wait for this to be explained in court, Blake Lively, because for a moment I was kind of feeling bad for you. I thought maybe an abusive relationship, maybe you were just in postpartum, maybe you were extremely uncomfortable for some reason on set, maybe. But you're just mean. You're toxic. You literally reeled Justin in. He was going to let you direct the next movie. So if there's any more doubt as to who Blake, Taylor, and Ryan are, that's who they are. They're cruel, vile, vicious, mean, backstabbing, power hungry, ruthless. Awful. It's awful what they did to Justin. But honestly, in the weirdest kind of way, and for karma to really hit these people how it needed to, I feel like it had to be people like Justin and Steve Sarowitz and Jamie. It had to be Wayfair. And I think I heard Elsie speak on this a couple of days ago on Hot Mics, but it was like, it had to be them because they were so cruel and vicious and backstabbing behind his back. Ryan and Blake trying to take him down at WME and turn the cast against him and do all of these horrendous things. I think they thought in return that they were doing the same thing, that they were going to get so much dirt on Justin, that once that New York Times piece hit, their women were going to flock and be like, me too, me too, me too, me too. Nobody has come forward with a bad story about Justin Baldoni, except one guy who worked on his set like 15 years ago said it was a bad experience. In all of Justin's text messages, she saw it from Jen Abel's POV, right? I bet she thought, oh, when I get Justin's messages, they're going to show something nasty. They're going to show exactly who he is. I'm the victim. But he didn't say one mean thing about Blake. Actually, the opposite. He said that he would pray for her and Ryan. That's crazy. And it was like the biggest spotlight right now is being shined on Hollywood and PR and crisis management, especially on Taylor and Ryan and Blake and all of their dragons. And I feel like I know Justin went through the most horrendous treachery, backstabbing of a friend who he considered to be a friend. But I feel like once he gets on the other side, it kind of like needed to happen in order to expose these monsters. And it needed, in a way, to be someone as kind and as honest and as faithful and heart open and present and self-aware as Justin. Because he didn't do nothing wrong. He does believe in equality. I think that's why he was able to hop in on the conversations that they were having about Britney Spears and about the bed being too small. And I think that's why he was to Jenny Slate like, hey, man, those pants look sexy, you know? He was like in it to win it. Like it couldn't have happened to a more gentle, kind person. I mean, he's been in the industry for over 25 years and not one bad story is out about him. He is who he says he is. In my opinion. Do you know? And after unearthing all of his private messages and his emails and everything, the only bad thing he's ever said about either Blake or Ryan is that Blake is a person who always thinks she's right. That's it. Now we could compare that to Ryan and Blake's messages. You know, Blake said she hopes that he returns to the sun. Creeps and clowns and doofus and sexual predator and all of this stuff. What? Where is it? Where? But I feel like if it would have happened to anyone else, their text probably would have been muddled. Do you know? They would have had a little bit of a fight in them. They would have been cruel and mean and devastated and shown that. And Justin was devastated, but instead of spewing evil and hate into the world, he leaned on his friends in a prayer circle. I mean, he said he was going to pray for Blake and Ryan. And the truth of it is everyone was over it come September. By the time Stephanie motherfucking Jones gave Blake those text messages at the end of September, and then when she got Van Zandt, you know, all of that, people were already over it. They had moved on. The news cycle kept moving. And Wayfair was going to go to the grave with what Blake, Ryan, and Taylor and everyone else, the cast, did to him. They were going to go to the grave with having to be sat in a fucking basement for their own premiere that they were paying for. They were going to go to the grave about the takeover, the hostile takeover of the set, the hostile takeover of the set and the movie. They were not going to tell nobody. But you push and you push and you push and you seek revenge and you seek justice and you seek accountability without ever looking inside of yourself first. This is the outcome. And finally, Hollywood is being stirred up and shaken up. And guess what? How ironic that it ends with us, the people, our voices, our opinions, what we think of it. We get to be the judge and jury here, at least, when it comes to these monsters in Hollywood stepping on little people and doing something like this that is just so beyond cruel to somebody who is so kind and making a true difference in this world. The light that we need in a world full of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and Taylor Swifts be a Justin Baldonian Wayfair. Do you know? It's like one day in hindsight, I hope that Justin sees that he really made a huge difference in Hollywood, at least. And he's opened a lot of people's eyes. And he is so supported and loved. And I hope that he truly knows that. And even in his pain and suffering right now, he's still making a difference. And he's still shaping and changing the world for the future. Okay. Before I cry, let's go into the rest of the depositions. This is WME and Sony. This is a deposition excerpt from Justin GREYSTONE. Justin is Blake Lively's manager. So in Canada, you only have an agent. They work as your manager and agent. But in America, you have to have a manager and an agent. And those usually are two different people. So this is her manager. I need lip gloss first. I need lip gloss. Okay, it starts here. I should tell you also, this is just one excerpt. They do have a huge deposition from him filed. It's over 100 pages. So this is just an excerpt from it instead of going over the entire thing, which I will do if I find that it's necessary. But this is just one of the excerpts filed by Blake Lively. It starts with Justin GREYSTONE saying, inappropriate conduct occurring on the set. Objection, objection. I can't say that I remember the timing of such. I think there were other issues, but I don't know if they were on the same or to the extent. I can't answer that correctly. Miss Garofalo, Wayfair. What other issues do you think there were after Miss Lively returned to the set to resume filming? I mean, it was, from my understanding, a lot of unprofessionalism in general with the set. What do you mean by that? There were different instances. I can tell you when I was on set where I witnessed people sort of in hugging circles and getting together. I don't know. It was less about me, but my understanding was I wouldn't say it completely stopped. What is a hugging circle? It's exactly what it sounds like. Well, there were things that would feel inappropriate by means of any other film set. Like what? People getting together and hugging around the filmmaker before and after, before the scene started. Large groups of people. Okay. In your visit to the set, did you witness anybody? Strike that. When you visited the set, did you witness any of the Wayfair parties, Mr. Heath, Mr. Baldoni, or anybody you understood to be affiliated with Wayfair hugging Miss Lively? Outside of the scenes? No. Okay, what other crossing of borders, if any, did you witness in your visits to the set after filming resumed? Objection. While I was on set, the boundaries were kept, but also, I would imagine partly because I was on set. Okay, you didn't witness anything that crossed a boundary when you were on set other than the hugging circles, which involved people hugging other people than Miss Lively. Is that correct? Then it skips. Representative from Sony sat in the editing room with Miss Lively and participated in the editing? Objection. Is that your testimony? I'm not testifying somebody sat in the room. I'm saying that much of the editing, from my understanding, happened on the Sony lot. Okay, so I would say if it happened on the Sony lot, then they were aware and spearheading it. It's their lot. It's their edit room. Now, you are aware that Sony was pushing Wayfair to give in to Miss Lively's demands because she was threatening Sony. Are you not? Objection, objection. If those happened, perhaps it was because creatively, Sony wanted to take the movie in a different direction. Did Miss Lively threaten not to return to production after the strikes unless certain conditions were met? Objection, objection. I don't think Blake ever threatened. It's why everything was worded as protections being requested to be met. They were never demands. Nowhere does it ever say demands. Nowhere ever does it say threaten that she wouldn't return. What she did was put forward a list of protections for herself and for everybody else on the set that needed to be met in order to ensure a safe working environment that Wayfair's negligence was not providing. Move to strike as non-responsive, Garofalo says. And a motion to strike a non-responsive answer is a procedural tool used during testimony or in pleadings to remove information that does not directly address the question asked or is irrelevant. Attorneys object to non-responsive testimony, asking the judge to instruct the jury to disregard it. So the purpose is to maintain the integrity and focus on the legal record, ensuring witnesses or parties answer directly. Just a little FYI, you know what I'm saying? So she says, motion to strike, non-responsive. So let's try this another way. I think it's an important point though. Yeah, at some point, Miss Lively put together her own cut of the film. Is that correct? Objection, objection. Again, no, it's not correct. Then it skips. This manager must be a ride or die for Blake. Okay, we are going to look at the deal for It Ends With Us momentarily, but let me ask you a couple of questions. At some point in time, you became aware of the It Ends With Us project. Is that right? That's correct. And did you bring the project to Miss Lively's attention? The project was first brought to our attention from her agent, Warren ZAVALA, and we all discussed with her as a team. And when you first learned about the project, did you think that this would be a project Miss Lively would be interested in pursuing? I had my concerns about it, and I was unsure whether it was something she would be excited about given the relative inexperience of the filmmaker and co-star and sort of the newer nature of the financial entity. There was also things to consider, such as the success of the film and the message that it had, which I knew would be really important to her. And I knew how important it would be to send that message to women and to her audience. So I was unsure which way it would go. Did Miss Lively express to you any reservations about the inexperience of the filmmaker, who here was Mr. Baldoni? I can't remember if anything stemmed directly from her, but I can say as a team, we look at all the pros and cons of a potential project and the relative inexperience of him. And also his stature as an actor at that time were things that were taken into deep consideration and part of the conversation and concerns for us as a team. And what did the team, well, let me ask you specifically, what, if anything, did you suggest or advise Miss Lively to do in order to counter the relative inexperience of the filmmaker here? Objection. I think there was a process laid out where she had read the book and then it skips. She didn't read the book. These people can't get one story straight. Literally in Blake's own deposition, she says she didn't read no book. It skips. Email from Leslie Sloan that attached some marketing guidelines, if I'm not mistaken. Do you recall that? I do. Is this the document that you're referring to during this testimony? Yes. And if you could turn to the third page of the document, which is bait stamped VPR 854, under what to avoid, it says, focus more on Lily's strength and resilience as opposed to describing the film as a story about domestic violence. Empowerment is just about standing up to adversity, but also having the power to overcome within oneself and grow from it, and developing agency to shape the future. Do you see that? Is it your, what is your understanding of the genesis of this document that was attached to Miss Sloan's email? My understanding of it was that it was a marketing directive and guidelines based on Wayfair and Sony's wishes. Sony being the director and sort of the final arbiter of how the movie was released and marketed, I would imagine. And these are the guidelines for everyone, including Wayfair, including Justin, including anyone appearing on camera, that they were all to be in unison. And do you know whether Miss Lively followed Sony's instructions to focus on female empowerment as opposed to making the film just about domestic violence? I think Blake did everything within her power to follow all the guidelines that were given to her and to make sure the film was the best success to reach the most amount of people with the highest amount of impact as possible in the way that felt authentic to the film and to everybody receiving it. Do you know when Miss Lively first started promoting the film, and specifically whether it was before or after the film's release? It would be prior, and then it skips. They were both at the premiere. And do you know whether Miss Lively appeared on the red carpet with Mr. Baldoni? I know that they were both on the red carpet at times. I can't confirm that they were together. Did Miss Lively have reservations about appearing on the red carpet with Mr. Baldoni for the premiere? As I understood it, she and others did as well, yes. And what were Miss Lively's concerns as you understand them? Her concerns, as I understood them, were that Justin and the Wayfair team were people that contributed to a very unsafe work environment and experience on set, and that there was likely to be more people coming out and more stories to come out from set. Certainly not from us, but just the chances of that happening given the history were significant. And she definitely had concerns about not wanting to appear as someone endorsing as a filmmaker that people, let alone other women, should be working with in the future. We're going to get to that in a second. Are you aware of Miss Lively instructing other cast members not to appear with Justin Baldoni at the premiere? I'm not. Are you aware of Miss Lively instructing other cast members to unfollow Mr. Baldoni on social media? I'm not. Are you aware of Miss Lively instructing any cast member not to do any other promotional appearance with Mr. Baldoni in relation to the film? I'm not. To your knowledge, did Miss Lively ever threaten that if Mr. Baldoni attended the premiere, she would take her sexual harassment allegations public? That was never something we were a part of, and I think throughout this entire process, there were many various stages that we had asked for various things, such as protections or requests or raised concerns, but I am not aware throughout the entirety of this process any threats that were, and then it skips. So to paint the whole picture, we were at a time in our business where movies as a whole were not performing theatrically, and the industry was feeling a ton of anxiety and concern, and certainly romantic dramas were not working whatsoever for many, many years previously. So the movie was made for a budget of somewhere like around $30 million. The opening was 50 plus million, which is massive with a capital M and an underline. It is a monstrous opening for a film of this stature. And for it to open for Sony at that number, to open with this budget at that number, and to open in this genre of romantic drama, which had really been dormant for years, was a thunderous signal to the entire community of what a massive, massive hit this was. If I was using a baseball reference, I think we were hoping for a home run, and this was an absolute grand slam. And based on your 18 plus years of experience as a manager in the entertainment industry, what should the success of the film have meant for Miss Lively's career? Objection. To be able to open a film at $50 million on an opening weekend on that sort of budget with, frankly, only you on the poster is a massive endorsement and sign that you have built a huge audience, who is excited about coming to see you in a film. And so what that should have represented for her is her true arrival as a top tier movie star and an ability to command not only a significant increase in her compensation moving forward, but just as importantly, if not even more, a significant rise in her opportunities to follow with great filmmakers with studio films, because the green light ability that we were previously talking about was now only been exponentially grown. It's a huge moment. And generally in the business, when you have a movie that opens number one, even if it's 16 million on an ongoing weekend or 20 and it hasn't recouped the whole budget, the phones are ringing off the hook with incoming opportunities and offers and meetings and etc. and set forth. And in this case, the movie almost doubled its entire budget in its opening weekend, which is just unheard of. So you can imagine our expectation was, beyond a celebration. A celebration would be, to say the least. And did the phones ring off the hook after the movie came out? They did not. In terms of what you reasonably would have expected Miss Lively to see for offers to come in, would you have been pushing for terms that were commensurate with what she earned on It Ends With Us? No, we would have been looking for and expecting quite easily a significant pay increase, and also a significant increase in the amount of filmmakers who were excited and looking to work with her, especially at the studio level. And would you have been pushing for deal terms that were better or worse than what she got? And then it cuts. Ming, bitch, please with this guy. Oh my gosh. Coach, can you say? Obviously, when he says up here, when he says that her concerns about appearing him online was that, she didn't want to give the message that she would be working with this man, especially, worried that he would be working with other women in the future. Bullshit. Because when she left set in phase 1 and flew to London, she didn't say nothing about nothing to nobody and let all of those other women still continue on the set if it was that serious. Also, if it was that serious, wouldn't she have said something after filming wrapped? Huh? She didn't say nothing for so long. Justin could have went and made so many other movies. If her alcohol line took off, if her career took off, and her hair care line took off through maximum efforts, horrible, horrendous marketing of the film, she wouldn't have said anything. And that's how you know it's not about sexual harassment. This guy's deposition is just laughable at this point, okay? We're going to move on to Blake Lively's agent, Warren ZAVALA at WME. And you understood that it had sexual violence content as well, correct? Correct. And to the best of your knowledge, did Miss Lively understand that the movies had sexual content before she agreed to accept the role, like the role of Lily Bloom? Objection, objection. You can answer. You guys got to give me a little direction here. I'm sorry. Repeat the question. My apologies. Can you please read it back? Thank you. Sorry. Record read. Yes. Same objection. And did you, in fact, discuss the subject matter of the film with Miss Lively before she accepted the role of Lily Bloom? What specifically? The sexual content. Yeah, she wasn't going to do anything that was rated R, so there was simulated sex scenes in terms of a romance, but it wasn't. I think the question you're asking has varying degrees. Okay, tell me what, if anything, you discussed with Angie Giannotti regarding potential sex scenes in the movie before Miss Lively signed on. I don't know if we did. So is it your testimony that Miss Lively told you that there were sex scenes, but there were limits as to what she would do in connection with those sex scenes? Objection form. Does that mean I still answer? Yes. Oh, okay. You've got to help me out here a little bit. I know. I should have given you that question. All right. I'm going to give it to you. Inaudible crosstalk. Okay. Give me a hand signal or something, okay? And then it skips. In an R-rated film, specifically with regard to what she would or would not do as an actress in a sex scene on the movie It Ends With Us, what were your conversations with Miss Lively? I didn't have objection form. I didn't have any. Okay. Now, prior to your visit to the set in June of 2023, did you have any conversations with Miss Lively in which she told you that she had been asked to do something on the set that she refused to do? Objection form. I don't recall at that point that she refused to do something. I didn't get a call from anyone about that. Did you provide Miss Lively with a script prior to the time she accepted the role of Lily Bloom? Sorry. Yes, I did. And did you read the script? I did. And at that time, prior to Miss Lively's acceptance of the role of Lily Bloom, did you find? Then it skips. Messages were not very complimentary. Objection to form. That is absolutely not true. Okay. Now, before filming resumed, let's mark, I think we're at 5 or 6? 5. As Exhibit 5, a document Bates stamped Heath 45307 through 45311. Exhibit 5 marked for identification. Blakel? Yeah, and you'd anticipated my first question. Does this document refresh your recollection as to what Blakel is? Yeah, I just figured it out. It's her name of her loan out. Okay, and take a minute to look at this document beginning on the, you know what? Someone didn't copy this correctly. Okay, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. On the first page of the document, there's a list starting with 1 that continues on the next 2 pages. Do you see that? Yes. Just without sitting here and reading it carefully, can you tell us if you have any understanding as to what that list is? Is this the return to work? Just take a minute to look at it. Take a minute. Yeah, right. Okay. Do you recognize the list? Yes, I've seen it before. What is it? It's the return to work. What does that mean? It's what was presented for her to be able to return to work and finish the movie. Okay, this is a list that was presented to Wayfair as a condition of Miss Lively returning to complete the movie. Is that a correct statement? Yes, objection to form. And if you know, was Miss Lively refusing to return to work on the movie if Wayfair did not agree to this list? That's my understanding. I wasn't a party to the drafting of this or the presentation of, or then it skips. How is her agent and her manager saying 2 different things? The last guy was like, no, she didn't threaten nothing. There was no threats. And now he's saying like, yep, ha. Sort of like her wanting to put it all to bed, sort of say her piece and move forward. There was this notice that they were going to be collaborative. And, I went out to the set with Lindsay Strasberg. We spent the better part of a day in Jersey at her house, and it seemed to be the case. It was working well. And, Todd Black and Angie Giannotti both pulled me aside to say how them collaborating together was making for better scenes, and they were feeling great about everything. Jamie was cordial. Alex was in good spirits. I saw her as well. It seemed like we were in a much better place, and I think Blake was feeling very positive about the final phase of the movie. Okay. And another thing that she was requesting was that she be given a producer credit. I think that was much later chronologically. Okay, at some point, she did make the request. Objection to form. Is that correct? I had heard that she had made that request, yes. Okay, and are you aware that she asked? Then it skips. Ended. It was ended on a positive note. It was. I actually don't know. I think it was ended on a positive enough note for her to return to work. I don't know. Okay, now after January 4th meeting, did shooting for the film resume? Yeah, shortly thereafter. Okay, I feel like the meeting was like a handful of days before they started photography. Okay, now when the strike occurred, how much of the film had been completed? Objection. I'm unclear on that. Okay, I think we talked about this earlier, and I feel like somewhere about half, but I don't recall. Okay, now when shooting for the film resumed, you testified that you were there physically for some of the shooting. Is that right? Objection. I did come out to the set and spent the breadth of the day there. Okay, and how would you describe the environment when you were there? Positive. I think that Jamie seemed like he was in good spirits. Lindsay Strasberg and I spoke to Justin briefly. Everybody seemed to be happy they were back at work. Todd and Angie during a setup pulled me aside and said that they were really collaborating with Justin and they were getting much better work, and she had great ideas and it felt really positive. And in terms of Miss Lively on set, did you observe, strike that, and what did you witness with respect to Miss Lively on set? Was she collaborating with Mr. Baldoni? Yeah, I watched a scene where Justin was sort of directing and she gave him some ideas from across the living room of like, try this or do that. And Todd and Angie were sitting there in Video Village and they seemed like it was all, she seemed happy. I think she was relieved that she was going to be finishing the film and it felt good. And besides acting, did you observe Miss Lively do anything else on the production set? No, we spent some time together. And this is the last one, and this is from Danny Greenberg, WME. So I guess we're doing all WME today, no Sony. I just realized Sony's is really long. It's like 110 pages, so we'll do that in a whole separate video, so the video is not so long. This is the transcript of Danny Greenberg, and he used to be Justin's agent. It starts right here on page 12. All right, I'm going to give you some ground rules, but let me ask you a preliminary question. You do know Blake Lively, is that correct? Do I know of Blake Lively or do I? Yeah, what? Yes. Either way, yes. You know of Miss Lively? Have you ever met Miss Lively? Yes. How many times? Twice. And Miss Lively is the client of your agency, is that correct? Yes. Have you personally been involved in Miss Lively's representation? No. Why don't we actually begin at the beginning? What is your occupation? I'm a talent agent. And who are you affiliated with? Then it skips. Now you're familiar with the parties to this case having read the complaint. In other words, who the plaintiff is and who the defendants are? Yes. And is it correct that at some point in time you represented Mr. Baldoni, a defendant in this case? Yes. How long did you represent Mr. Baldoni in your capacity as a talent agent? Around 5 years. I started representing him after he directed his first movie, roughly the second half of 2019. And are you familiar with an entity called Wayfarer? Yes. And Wayfarer Studios, is that or has that been a client of William Morris's, if you know? Yes. And would you be the talent agent who you've primarily responsible for the representation of Wayfarer? There was a team that represented Wayfarer. The primary representation of Wayfarer was through WME Independent Division. I was involved in the representation, but my primary responsibility was representing Justin as a director and an actor. And again, approximately how many years or how long did you represent Mr. Baldoni in your capacity as an agent for WME? 5 years. Do you still represent Mr. Baldoni? No. Why not? We released Mr. Baldoni or Justin and Wayfarer right around December 22nd of 2024. Okay, let me start with who is we? the agency. And was there some event that prompted Mr. Baldoni's dismissal as a client of WME? Objection. Can you repeat the question? I will. I'll rephrase it. Did something happen that caused WME to drop Mr. Baldoni as a client? Yes. Then it skips. On the set, making comments, offering his opinions, anything at all? Yes. Okay, and tell me what Mr. Reynolds' involvement was, if you can. Objection. At that point, my understanding was really just support and perhaps some creative feedback that he may have worked through Blake to to Justin and the team. Outside of that, I'm not aware of any other creative contribution he was making. Okay, so you told me that there was basically two subjects covered in the call with Mr. Reynolds. The first were certain aspects of Justin's behavior. Tell me what Mr. Reynolds said. Objection. He brought up incidences that happened between Justin and Blake. We discussed a few of those, and then we translated and moved on to talking a bit more about the movie. Okay, what instances did Mr. Reynolds describe to you during the phone call prior to the premiere? He brought up an incident of Justin and the production playing a birthing video. He brought up an instance of Justin inquiring about Blake's weight through a third party. He also brought up Justin's behavior with respect to doing the electronic press kit. Also, Justin's behavior having to do with the, I believe there was like a coffee table book in discussion that came up. He mentioned something about the production hiring a doctor on the film that was a friend of his. Then had a discussion about Ryan's opinion of the cut that he had seen. We had a discussion about that as well. Anything else that Mr. Reynolds raised with you with respect to instances of Justin's behavior on the call 2 or 3 weeks prior to the premiere? Not that I recall beyond what I've said. Did Mr. Reynolds have an attitude? Like, was he angry, happy about the film? Was there any indication of Mr. Reynolds' state of mind? Objection. He was, I think, he was a bit angry. He seemed a bit defensive. Then it skips. Exhibit 13 is another chat, this time with Mr. Heath. It is dated Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, and Mr. Baldoni is included. And in the first chat, he says, "Please tell Josh that I'm willing to waive my, quote, a film by credit, close quote. I want peace and for this to end." Did you have any understanding of what Mr. Baldoni was saying in Exhibit 13? Yes. What was he saying to your understanding? Jamie reached out to me to let me know that Blake made a request that Justin take off his film by credit, which opened up another conversation that we had to have strategically, and ultimately Justin made the decision to waive his film by credit for her. Was Miss Lively at this point in time still threatening not to participate in publicity this time if Mr. Baldoni didn't agree to waive his film by credit? Objection. I'm not aware of that. And then it skips. Correct. So you don't have any personal knowledge whatsoever? No. When did filming wrap on the It Ends With Us? This is actually a good time for a break after you've answered this question if you need one. If not, we'll keep going. You may have a better sense of the date than I do. Sometime in early 2024. I don't know the date. Do you want to take a break or do you want to keep going? We can take a break. Then they do. By refuting her claims about what happened on the set? Potentially. Again, I wasn't across the publicity campaign or anything along those lines. So that was basically a reflection of what I heard from the publicist as well as from Wayfair. But your understanding is that they were preparing to go public to refute her claims about what happened to her on the set. Objection. In the event that they needed to defend themselves, as my understanding is that they were prepared to be truthful about what their experience was. Did you attend the premiere of It Ends With Us? Yes. Did you speak to Mr. Sarowitz at the premiere? I spoke with Mr. Sarowitz at the premiere party. The premiere party after the premiere. Correct. Where did that occur? At a hotel down the street. I forgot the name of it. And that was on August 6th, 2024. That sounds right. And what did you and Mr. Sarowitz discuss? He asked me how things were going with respect to publicity, with respect to the dynamics between Blake and Justin. Is this going to impact how the movie opens? My response to him was simply, The publicists are all over it. They're doing their job. They're working in conjunction with Blake's publicity team. And it seemed to me like everything's going to be okay. At that point, it was Thursday before the movie opened. So there really wasn't much out there, if anything, about the dynamic between the two of them. So I basically was just trying to just sort of calm him down. He was seemingly a bit defensive and nervous about what could happen. Again, he financed and built the studio. And so I was just basically alleviating his concerns, and he seemed to be okay. You used the words calm him down. How would you describe his demeanor? I don't know him very well. I've only met him and had a couple of Zooms with him over time. But, he seems to me to be relatively an intense guy and a very straightforward, seemingly very honest guy. At least how he has communicated with me in the few times that we've communicated, and how that's very important to him. Kind of a spiritual, faithful guy. And so in that moment, it seemed to me that he was feeling like, and I've used the word earlier, but a bit defensive, and that he needed to potentially protect himself. And so I was trying to assure him that he really had nothing to worry about, and that everyone was doing their job. And, the movie's going to open great, and, it's going to be all right. Do you remember anything in particular that Mr. Sarowitz said, like his exact words? For instance, did Mr. Sarowitz tell you that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively? No, he did not say that. Did he say anything similar to that? He said that, if I can remember correctly, when I used the word publicist, his response to that is, that's fine, but I have lawyers. And in the event I need to, and this becomes a legal situation, I'm prepared to spare no expense. He didn't mention anything about money. And again, it just sort of seemed in character. But my analysis was that it was purely defensive and that he had no intention of doing anything. It sounded like it was a little bit hubris and a little bit like, let me know if I need to do something. I will. Let me know if I need to engage or whatever. And so that was just the last time I spoke to him. So it's your testimony that he did not reference spending $100 million. I don't recall. It's possible. I just don't recall him using that number or that figure. I do recall something to the effect of sparing no expense. So it's possible he did. I just don't recall that. And is Mr. Sarowitz a billionaire? I believe so. Objection. I believe so from what I've read. So what was your impression of when he said he would spare no expense? I didn't really have much of an impression. I know that he has means and that he would do what he needed to do in the event that he felt threatened. And what was he prepared to do? Do you recall any words that he used of what he was prepared to do? No, there was no specificity. It was broad. Did he say that he was prepared to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family in any way? No. Objection. What did he say regarding Miss Lively and her family? Objection. He never mentioned her family. It's possible that he mentioned Blake and Ryan and like a sort of like combined the two in them in terms of like, power things with Blake and Ryan. But beyond that, there was no mention of his family, their family. There was no mention of ruining the lives from what I remember. Do you recall about what he said about Miss Lively? He had nothing specific to say about Blake. And then it cuts off. You said he was really aggressive when I spoke to him. Do you see that? Yes. And what were you referencing when you said, when I spoke to him? The conversation that we just discussed at the premiere party? And why did you describe him as really aggressive? I think that was just describing his personality. He's not really experienced in the world of Hollywood and movie making, and he seemed to present himself as more of a businessman, and he was feeling threatened and vulnerable. And so I measured it also that he was, trying to, at least with respect to me, kind of like prove himself in that moment that I'm capable of, defending myself if I need to. And so I think it was sort of in line with what his personality is, which I had blocked from the very beginning, that he's just an intense man. And so I just wanted to make sure that, he had nothing to worry about. And so, I did mention it to Ange in this exchange. And when he said, I will spare no expense, He said that in an aggressive manner. I don't recall. And then you write, I've been texting Jamie to make sure he is managed and to make sure he speaks with me before anything nuclear. Do you see that? Correct. You were concerned that Mr. Sarowitz would do something nuclear. I was worried about him potentially going legal or litigious with Blake and Ryan, because that's what he mentioned he would need to potentially do in the event he had to. And so my reference here is the conversation I had with Jamie, in which I brought it up to Jamie and suggest, just to basically say, the conversation I had with Steve was what I described here. And so that's what I was referencing. And so your version of nuclear was just filing the lawsuit. Yes, that's the only thing that he mentioned to me. He used the word legal, and that was the only context in which he mentioned anything to me. Okay, I'm going to mark Exhibit 30. I just handed you WME 1319. Do you see that in front of you? I do. Do you recognize this? Yes, I do. Okay, do you see in the first paragraph you say, I think we're on a good path here. There's a truce between the publicists on both sides. And your last sentence in that paragraph is, I had to dial down the billionaire at the premiere who is ready for serious battle. Do you see that? Yes. Who is the billionaire that you're referring to here? Steve Sarowitz. And again, why did you use the term, strike that? Why did you use the term, strike that. Why did you use the term ready for serious battle? It's just a continuation of what I've been saying for the past 5 minutes, that he felt threatened, and battle refers to potentially having to get into a legal dispute. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then I think I just have 2 more minutes of questions. Can we get a time check for both sides, please? Yes, let's go off the record first. Sure. Then they come back on. It's still Blake's lawyers. Mr. Greenberg, did you tell anyone that Mr. Sarowitz told you that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively's life? Objection. I don't recall him being specific about that number, but I did have a conversation with Warren ZAVALA, my colleague, about that. It's possible I had a conversation. Well, let's go back. First of all, I don't have any memory of him mentioning ruining anyone's life, but the conversation that I did have with him, I did have a conversation with Warren ZAVALA about that afterwards. It's possible he came up with Patrick Whitesell, but I do remember having an exchange with Warren about it. And what did you tell Warren? Well, basically that what I testified to earlier, that, I'm making him aware of the situation and the importance of everybody just staying the course, focusing on getting the movie open, and that Steve presented to me as somebody who felt very sort of attacked and vulnerable. And then it skips. Mr. Sarowitz told you he was willing to spend $100 million. Objection. Is it possible that he told me that? Yes, of course it's possible, but I don't remember him saying it. Who is Mary Sheehy? Objection. Mary Sheehy she's a colleague. She runs our corporate communications in WME. Is she your boss? No. Do you recall telling her that Mr. Sarowitz told you he was prepared to spend $100 million? Again, I don't recall telling anyone that he said that figure, but it is possible that it came up. Mary was engaged with the situation after the movie opened, and so it's possible we had that conversation. I just don't recall having it. Would it surprise you to learn that Mr. Sheehy recalls you telling her that Mr. Sarowitz conveyed to you that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively's life? Objection. I don't have any memory of ever having a conversation with anyone about Steve Sarowitz ruining anyone's life. Okay, would it surprise you to learn that Mary Sheehy recalls you telling her that Mr. Sarowitz was prepared to spend $100 million? Objection joined. If I had the conversation with her, that wouldn't surprise me. And what about Patrick Whitesell? Did you convey any statements to Mr. Whitesell regarding your conversation with Mr. Sarowitz? I don't recall specifically having it. I do believe there was a text exchange that we covered with respect to that issue. So it's possible that you conveyed to Mr. Whitesell that Mr. Sarowitz told you he was prepared to spend $100 million. Yes, that objection, that's possible. Then it ends. Oh my God. So everything that Blake Lively said about Sarowitz saying the Hamas isn't real thing, spending $100 million, ruining her lives, how she was so threatened, that's not even true. What is true in this case? What has Blake said that's been true? I'm really like, what's true is that Justin referred to her wardrobe as sexy. What's true is that Jamie Heath accidentally walked into her trailer. I mean, that's it. Like, you know, I'm super excited to get into Josh Greenstein because I honestly, in my opinion, allegedly, don't come at me, Sony, WME, whoever, whatever the fuck, I think he's the snake in the grass at Sony. I really do. I think, I definitely think he is. So we'll get into that tomorrow, but that's it. Please drop your thoughts. Let me know everything that you're thinking, everything that you're feeling, and what you think about these depositions and the newly unsealed texts. Ooh. Okay. Have the best day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Okay. I love you so much. Bye. Representative. Represent. Representative. No. Representative. Oh my gosh. Okay.